Hello. The group that I decided to focus on was the Indigenous Americans group. Um, a huge barrier for them is lack of access to proper health care. A lot of these communities are very, very rural and they lack access to health care and the location, maybe poor transportation, they're not able to get there, or there's a lot of poverty in these communities and high unemployment rates, so they are not able to reach or afford it. Nagoon and Subhan, ETAL 2020. Another barrier to the Indigenous communities is, as I mentioned, a huge cycle of poverty. The education system is poor. There's not a lot of access to higher education. And according to Dikata 2026, Indigenous culture values focus on family at the core. So most better paying jobs are off the reservation. And this is a cultural conflict for the Indigenous people because the family is their value. So they have to make a choice of making more money and leaving their family on the reservation, or staying on the reservation and, kind of being stuck in this poverty cycle. And it's also another, as I mentioned, transportation issue. Not all of them have that luxury. A couple of counseling theories that I thought could work for the Indigenous people group is person-centered therapy and existential therapy. I thought person-centered therapy, for the fact that it's client-focused and it's client-driven, it could be challenging if the client needs more direction, especially in the beginning. A lot of stigma with the Indigenous culture around mental health, so it could be challenging maybe with that therapy if somebody has never faced it before, they're trying to step out of their comfort zone, and then you're kind of putting it all on them. So that kind of depends on the client and where they're at, but I think that it could be a really good therapy theory. Another one, like I mentioned, was existential, because it seems to align more with the Indigenous cultures and values, and that you can very easily focus on spirituality, and it focuses on growth. It looks at growth as a journey, and I thought that could possibly align very well with the Indigenous American group. Cultural barriers to counseling services. As I mentioned, a lot of these reservations and living is very rural, and they just don't have access to the services, to counseling services. So to mitigate this, having online sessions, if they have access to technology for that. And another way to mitigate it would be to travel to the reservation, maybe once a week, once a month, and have a scheduled time where you can support those people. Another barrier is the impact of colonialism can make Indigenous people really hesitant to seek services for fear of being misunderstood. They've been oppressed for so many years. And as we know, there is definitely an underrepresented Indigenous group in counseling. So they, might not feel as comfortable. To mitigate this, strong competency skills for the counselor, and client-led discussion, not making assumptions as a counselor, and just really active listening.